Hi, welcome you all to this special class on Unacademy YouTube Unlock platform. Today we will be continuing with the previous class that we have done. We were previously discussing about the Hindu philosophy and also its applications in our day-to-day life. That is what we were discussing previously. Today we will continue and we will try to complete that philosophy. Before starting our class, let us start looking at the courses offered on Unacademy platform. As you can see it on your screen here, you have Unacademy Civil Services Championship, certification of participation for all the test takers. Everyone who participate will get the certificate. Apart from that, you can also win scholarships and exciting rewards up to 15 crores. The examination will be on 27th of March, that is coming the Sunday, 27th of March, and you can also apply for it. You can scan the code here and you can apply for it. You can have gifts like you have laptops, you have mobiles, you have tablets and other gifts. Then you can see here on the screen, right? You can reach your highest dream with Unacademy. Unacademy is the most popular online platform for civil service examination because it is only in English. It is not in Hindi. Janavi, it is only in English, not in Hindi. Right? This is only in English. So, because it is best in class educators, in terms of ratings given by learners, it is 4.4 out of 5. It is also best in class ratings, 4.6 out of 5. And more than 50,000 people have enrolled in tests conducted by Unacademy. You'll get the printed comprehensive notes, more than 20,000 questions for practice, and MCQ based crash course also, and one-on-one mentorship. Then Unacademy Lite, Prelims and GSAT test series, you can see here. Your target will be 2022 and 2023. For 2022, you can have this it can be in a 6-month subscription or 12-month subscription with different tests. You can see it on the screen here. And the batches, you have a bilingual GS batch for 2023, and you also have only English course also for 2023. They are starting from 23rd March. Then optional courses, these are all the optional courses that have been launched. You can see it on the screen here. You can also don't have to worry about the finances because you can get a 0% AMI also. And you can call 8585 8585 and 85 number, and you will get all the details about the courses, batches, and all the offers available on Unacademy platform. And then you also have this last mile, wherein you will get free interview guidance. Last year, more than 170 toppers took guidance here. You will get training by experts, DAF analysis, and this is free for everyone. You can have flexible schedules. You can have mock interviews also. You will get the previous year's transcription also. Then you have a very experienced panel of mentors here as part of this mock interview programs. They will be starting from first week of April, right? Then you also have an Academy store where you can discuss life strategy with mentors, and also from top educators. Then you also have a state of the art library also. It is in Old Anaga, right? So these are all the courses that are offered on Unacademy platform. then let us come back to what we are discussing. Let us look at what we are discussing. So, as we have mentioned, we have spoken about uh, this Hindu philosophy. We had more than 2 hours, and before that, one more session, 1 hour session also was there. So, we already have discussed almost most of the important aspects of Hindu philosophy, right? Now, as we discussed, how to, achieve self-actualization. This is what the question that we are asking here. How to achieve this self-actualization? What can be done by people to achieve this self-actualization? Is it possible? As I said, the ultimate objective of a human life is to achieve self-actualization. What we call it as moksha. We call it as also in a, in a this this is what we say the essence of human life. All these things. The question is how to do it. According to Hindu philosophy, this self-actualization or moksha, this can be achieved through 4 different ways. That is what we call yogs. 4 different ways. What are they? According to Bhagavad-Gita, it is mentioned that this can be done through 4 different ways. First one is Bhakti-Yoga, Jnana-Yoga, Karma-Yoga, and another one. So there are 4 different ways through which we can achieve this self-actualization. Let us look at all of them. First one is what we call Raj Yoga. Right? What is this Raj Yoga? Here what we say is that we can realize the true nature of our inner self through meditation. Meditation and yoga. Through this we can achieve self-actualization. Through meditation, yoga, Raj Yoga. If you happen to see, we have a sect called Brahma Kumaris. Brahma Kumaris, you must have heard about them also. These Brahma Kumaris are the ones who practice Raj Yoga through meditation and yoga. What do you do through meditation and yoga? What do you do? What you do is that through meditation and yoga, you will remove your mind of completely of any thoughts. Your mind become completely empty. There will not be any thought. You will reach a position through meditation that there will be no thought in your mind. Then what do? You will try to fill in the mind with the thought of God. You will start thinking about what is God, what are the qualities of God, how can I become God. And over a period of time, you will become God also. This is one of the most difficult paths, according to Lord Krishna, to achieve self-actualization. It is one of the most difficult paths, according to Lord Krishna. And how much time will it take? On an average, you have to meditate for at least 500, 600 years continuously to achieve this kind of self-actualization. Minimum 5 to 600 years. But as all of us know, human life is maximum 80 or 90 years, or it can be more than say 100 years. Then how can we do it? How can we live for 600 years, 700 years? This can be done. Very simple. How do we measure our life? How do we measure our life? In terms of the number of breathings that we take. Take the case of dogs. Per minute, they will have at least 200 breathings per minute. That is the reason why a dog lives for not more than 12 or 14 years. Take the case of elephants. They live for 150 years. In the same manner, if you can control your breathing, instead of 70, 75, you can take breathing only once in a minute. Automatically you live for 700 years. By controlling your breathing, automatically you live for 700 years. It is not difficult. But again, as I said, this is only a theoretical possibility. It can be a practical reality also, provided you master this one. Provided you master this technique. it becomes very, very difficult. It's almost impossible. For example, you have to sit in the same position, for 100 years, 200 years. It becomes almost difficult. That is the reason why we say that Raj Yoga is, almost impossible. It is almost impossible. This Raj Yoga, attaining salvation, attaining salvation through Raj Yoga is almost impossible. The second one we say is Bhakti-Yoga. According to this Bhakti-Yoga, what it says is that we can attain salvation. According to Bhakti-Yoga, we can attain salvation by showing our devotion towards God. Bhakti-Yoga, we can attain salvation by showing our devotion towards God. What does it mean? There are people who have attained salvation through this Bhakti-Yoga. There is we have this Tyagaraja, a saint, a philosopher, a musician from South India, Andhra Pradesh. He had written more than 24,000 songs praising Lord Ram. Not one or two, 24,000 songs praising Lord Ram. And he had attained salvation. There is this Annamacharya who had written 36,000 songs praising Lord Venkateshwara, Tirupati. There is Tulasi Das. These are all the saints. There is Mirabai. They are all the saints who attained salvation through devotion. This is a little bit more easier. The third way is Jnana Yoga. This is again the most difficult way of realizing God. Jnana Yoga. That means realizing God through knowledge, by gaining the knowledge of God. As we discussed in our previous classes, we have to ask the question, what is God? What are the qualities of God? How can I become God? You have to ask the questions and you have to find answers. This is one of the most difficult ways of attaining salvation. What we call it as Jnana Yoga. And the last one, according to Lord Krishna, is Karma Yoga. Through work, actions. According to Lord Krishna, this Karma Yoga is the easiest way of attaining salvation. That means just perform your karma, action, and do nothing else. You can easily reach God. You can attain salvation. What does it mean? This is what Krishna says. The only way to reach God through Karma Yoga is through what we call it as a Nishkam Karma. Kam means desire. Nishkam means desireless action. He says that perform your duty and do not expect anything in return. Attach yourself to the work you are performing and not to the outcome of the work that you are supposed to get. Get maximum amount of pleasure and happiness. Get maximum amount of pleasure and happiness in the work that you are performing. Get maximum amount of pleasure and happiness in the work that you are performing, and do not attach yourself to the outcome of the work. Automatically, according to Lord Krishna, you will attain salvation. But again, how is it possible? What can be done? Again, Krishna has provided solution for this. He said that this Nishkam Karma, this Nishkam Karma, as you can see written on the screen also here, this Nishkam Karma is possible through what he called it as detachment. He said that we must detach ourselves from everything in this world, and we must attach ourselves only to the work that we are performing and nothing else. It is possible through detachment. Again, what is this detachment? How it can be achieved? How it can be acquired? Detachment, as the name itself indicates, means you are not attaching yourself to the people or to the material or to anything else in this world. How can you attain this detachment? by realizing the fact that nothing is this in this world is permanent. That is what Krishna says. Nothing in this world is permanent. Nothing. For example, the people that we see in front of us, they are not permanent. Our positions are not permanent. Our money is not permanent. Our name, fame, status, power, they are not permanent. So if we attach something ourselves to which is not permanent, automatically it can result in more problems for us. For example, if we attach ourselves to the people, anything, our friends, family members, anyone else, the more liking we develop for those people, what happens? The more misery and pain that we will have when they leave us. It is vice versa also. They will also have the same kind of emotions when we leave them. So anything that is not permanent can never give us permanent peace of mind. And what is permanent in this world? The only thing that is permanent in this world is God. And if we have to attach ourselves only to God and nothing else. Rest of everything else is transitory in nature. That is what Lord Krishna says. And never attach yourself to which is not permanent. Then proceeding further, Krishna says that there are 6 different kinds of vices that come in the way of us attaining salvation, moksha. And for all these 6 different kinds of vices, according to Lord Krishna, the starting point is desire. And that is the reason why, if you go back and if you see Gautam Buddha, he has justly repeated what is there in Bhagavad Gita. Because ultimately, the truth is the same. As Swami Vivekananda says, the truth is same. It can be spoken differently by different people. So Gautam Buddha also exactly spoken about the same truth that Lord Krishna has mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Gautam Buddha has said that desire is the root cause of all the evils in this world. And that is the reason why Gautam Buddha has said that he wanted to see a world wherein people don't have any desires. And that is what exactly you can see in Bhagavad Gita also. Lord Krishna says that you must perform your task without any desire. Nishkam karma. Why? Because this desire itself is the root cause of all the evils in this world. And according to Bhagavad Gita, we have 6 different kinds of vices that are associated with desire. What are those vices that are associated with desire according to Bhagavad Gita? According to Lord Krishna, according to Bhagavad Gita. What are they? First and foremost, we say as Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad and Matsarya. 6 different kinds of vices. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad and Matsarya. Let us see all of them one by one. Kam, in English, we call it as lust. Lust. Extreme form of desire is what we call lust. Extreme form of desire is what we call lust. Right? It can be for people or for power or for money or for status or for position or for anything else. You can see it is the lust for power that makes politicians do most of the immoral and unethical things. What do politicians do because of their lust for power? If you happen to read today's Indian Express newspaper, Yashwant Sinha, former finance minister, has written a beautiful article wherein he said that the way the politics in our country has changed, he was feeling so bad about it. Why? Because The lust for power has made politicians completely blind to ethical aspects of governance. They are dividing the society in the name of religion, in the name of caste, to win elections and retain power. And that is what Lord Krishna says. The moment you have this kind of lust, you will never be able to attain salvation. What do? You will kill people. For example, take the case of what Putin is doing. It is his lust for power that resulted in this, kind of, in this kind of unwanted war. Millions of people, right, suffered. Right. The first one is lust, desire. The first vice is lust. Second one is growth, which means in English anger. It is also associated with the desire. According to Lord Krishna, this is also associated with desire. What is this anger, and why do we get angry? Please remember, all these questions were asked in our ethics paper also. They have asked the question, what really makes people angry? Why do we get angry? The answer is very simple here. We say that this anger is because of non-fulfillment of desire. Non-fulfillment of desire is what that results in anger. You become angry because your desire is not fulfilled. You can see for yourself, when do you get angry? You are expecting something from a situation or from people. You are expecting something, right? From situations and people, right? Right. So, and when it is not fulfilled, when your expectations are not fulfilled, what happens automatically? You will get angry. When your expectations are not fulfilled, automatically you will get angry. You start shouting at people. You start abusing people. You start beating people. Anger. Anger is directly associated with, again, desire. That is what in Lord Krishna says. The second vice that comes in front of our self-actualization. First one is lust. Second one is anger, calm, growth. Third one is lobh, L-O-B-H. Fourth one is moh. Fifth one is mad, and sixth one is matsarya. What is this lobh? Greed. In English we call it as greed. In English we call it as greed. What is this greed, and how it is associated with desire? So the thing with the desire here is that the more your desires are fulfilled, the more greedy you become. The more greedy you become. For example, you have become the Prime Minister. You are not satisfied. You want to become the Prime Minister again the next term. You are not satisfied. You want to become the Prime Minister third term. You are not satisfied. You want to be the Prime Minister forever. You are the Chief Minister. Again, you are not satisfied. You are the party president. You are not satisfied leading the party for 25 years. Sonia Gandhi. You still want to continue to be the party president only. That is what we say greed. Fulfillment of desire results in more greed. The more your desires are fulfilled, the more greedy you become. You are a businessman. This year you got 100 crores profit. You are not satisfied. You want 200 crores next year. Are you satisfied? No. Third year you want 1000 crores. Fifth year you want 10,000 crores. Then 50,000 crores. There is no limit as far as our greed is concerned. That is the reason why, if you see, Mahatma Gandhi would say that our earth has enough resources to satisfy the need of the people, but not their greed. There is no limit as far as our greed is concerned. We become greedy. The more we become greedy, the more our needs are satisfied, the more greedy we become. This is what Krishna says. That is the reason why this is the third vice that we have with desire. First one is lust. Second one is anger. Third one is desire. this greed. Fourth one is moh. Moh. Moh means attraction. This is also related to desire. You when we have attractions, we will have more desires. So, for example, look at our politicians. Our politicians are attracted towards the perks and the comforts that the public officers give them. I'll give you one example here. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister for 10 years. Very good man. But he was so much attracted towards the comforts that the office of Prime Minister has offered him that he had become blinded to whatever that was happening in front of him. He was not willing to lose all those comforts. If you are a Prime Minister, you will be traveling in a special flight. You don't have to stand in a queue. You will be getting everything free of cost. Even the entire world is at your feet. The comforts and the luxuries that Office of Prime Minister offers made Manmohan Singh completely blind to what was happening around him. And he had become a willing conspirator in a, as far as the corruption of his cabinet colleagues are concerned. As we study, if you don't fight evil, if you remain silent, then you will also become part of the evil. And that is what exactly Manmohan Singh has done. He had become the modern day Dhritarashtra, who closed his eyes to all the events that were taking place around him, especially the corruption of his cabinet colleagues. Why? Because again, attraction. He was so attracted. He was so attached, attachments more to the office of the perks and the positions and the comforts that offered, that were offered to the office of Prime Minister. He knew that if he starts fighting them, he would, have to lose his job. When Rahul Gandhi, made fun of his government, by tearing up the ordinance papers of, to bail out Lalu Prasad Yadav in the corruption scams, Manmohan Singh did not resign. Why? Because he was so much attached to the office of Prime Minister. That is what happens. You lose your identity, you lose your self-esteem, you sacrifice with your values. Automatically, you become a bad person. This is the fourth vice according to Lord Krishna: attachment, attraction, moh. This is also directly related to desire. The fifth one, according to Lord Krishna, which is attached to desire, is mad. In English language, we call it as ego. In English language, we call it as ego. What is this ego? How it is related to desire? This is what we say. What we say is that satisfaction of a desire, fulfillment of a desire, automatically results in fulfillment of a desire automatically results in development of ego. That is the reason why you will not be surprised when these young people get into IAS and IPS. They become highly egoistic. You start thinking that you are the master. You start believing that you are the god because you have cleared the UPSC examination. This is what happens. That is the reason why you will not blame the leaders to develop that kind of ego. Take the case of our Prime Minister. He has been there in positions of power for the last 21 years. Continuously he had been winning elections. So there is nothing wrong if he becomes egoistic. Right? There is nothing wrong if he becomes egoistic. And that is what happens. It is very, very, very difficult to see people not become egoistic after they achieve success in life. The more success in life, the more egoistic you become also. And once you become egoistic, you will never attain salvation. once you become egoistic. That is what another vice that Bhagavad Gita speaks about. The last one, the sixth one, is what we call matsarya. In English, we call it as jealousy. It is directly related to, again, desire. How? For example, our desire is fulfilled. Take another example. You and your friend are preparing for this UPSC examination. Your friend gets into IAS, you don't get. Automatically you become jealous. Non-fulfillment of your desire and fulfillment of the desire of other person can result in jealousy. That is what we feel jealous. We feel jealous of everyone around us, our friends, our relatives, our compatriots, everyone else. Why? Because it becomes almost impossible for us to digest. It becomes almost impossible for us to digest the fact that they had become successful and we have not. That is when we develop a lot of jealousy. And when we develop this kind of jealousy, we always think bad or negatively about other people. With that kind of thought process, you can never become a self-actualized person. So this is what Lord Krishna has said. Desire is the root cause of all the vices within us. 6 different kinds of vices that we have spoken about. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad and Matsarya. Right? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad and Matsarya. Ravan, it was his lust for Sita that led to his downfall. Duryodhan, it was his ego that led to his downfall. Right? So we can give hundreds of examples. That take the case of Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler. It was his, greed that led to his downfall. He wanted to, become the emperor of this entire world. Greed. And then, right now, take the case of Putin. It is his ego, which is being badly hurt. Putin thought that he would overrun Ukraine within 4 to 5 days. It's more than 1 month now. Nothing has happened. And out of this desperation, you can see that you will not be surprised that he might use the nuclear weapons also to silence Ukraine forever. Right? That is where the problem is, ego. Right? So that is the reason why Lord Krishna says that we have to overcome all these 6 different kinds of vices so that we can become a self-actualized person. We can attain salvation. And all these vices are related to only one thing, that is desire. And that is the reason why he says that we must overcome desire so that we can attain self-actualization. And how to overcome this desire? According to Lord Krishna, this desire could be overcome through detachment. Detach ourselves from everything around us, from people, from relations, from money, from power, from property, from status, from position, everything else. But how to attain this kind of detachment? By gaining the knowledge. What kind of knowledge? By gaining the knowledge that none of the things that we have spoken now are permanent. None of them will be there with us permanently. All of them are temporary. I said relations. Does your parents will be there with you forever? No. Does your children will be with you forever? No. Does your friends will be with you forever? No. The more attachments that you have, the more pain you will experience when they are separated from you. People are attached to relations. They are attached to money. They are attached to comforts. They are attached to power, position, name, fame and status. none of them will be there with them permanently. Because in this world, nothing is permanent. Then what should we attach ourselves to? We should attach ourselves only to the one which is permanent, and that is what we call God. With the rest of all these things, we should maintain strict detachment. We must have strict detachment. And that is what Lord Krishna says. This strict detachment can result in what is called Nishkam Karma. That means then you will be able to perform your actions without expecting anything in return. You will be able to do your karma without attaching yourself to the outcome of the karma. And that is what he says. And whatever that comes to you, you take it, whatever that comes to you, as a gift of God. You only perform your task. Leave the outcome of your task to God. Attach yourself to the task that you are performing, the work that you are doing. For example, take the case of your own UPSC preparation. Your own UPSC preparation. What is the reason why you will not have any peace of mind? You will not have any peace of mind for the simple reason that you are attaching too much yourself to the outcome. You are thinking what will happen to me. You are attaching too much yourself to the IAS and IPS tag that you will have after you get into services. And in the process, you will have complete absence of peace of mind. That is the reason why what you have to do, just to prepare for this examination with utmost sincerity. That is what Lord Krishna says. Derive maximum amount of pleasure and happiness from the work that you are performing. And don't attach yourself to the outcome of the work. Don't attach yourself to the relations, people, emotions, money, status, position, and power. As long as you are like this, you will never be able to attain salvation. And this is what Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna as part of what we call Bhagavad Gita. This is what Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna as part of Bhagavad Gita. He says that attach yourself only to the work that you are performing. If you are preparing for UPSC, just think about your preparation. Don't attach yourself to the outcome. The outcome is there in the hands of the God. Leave the outcome to God. Derive maximum amount of satisfaction and pleasure. Derive maximum amount of satisfaction and pleasure from the work that you are performing, and not the outcome of the work. And that is what he says, Lord Krishna. Don't think that you are doing all these things. He says that you are the instrument in my hand to do all those things. I am using you as an instrument. So you don't have to feel good or bad about what you are doing, because it is me who is doing all those things through you. So Krishna explains all these things to Arjuna. And he tells Arjuna that because why all these things has come up in the first place, looking at the vast army of Kauravas in front of him, Arjuna develops resistance to war. He says that who are there in front of me? My relatives, my guru, my friends, my compatriots. Why should I be fighting this war? For whom should I be fighting this war? That is when Krishna explains to him the essence of this Hindu philosophy. He says that you are only an instrument. As an instrument, you have to perform your job and don't think anything else. You are a warrior king. It is your job to fight the war. Do not worry about the outcomes. If you emerge victorious, you will get the land, territory, you can rule it. On the other hand, if you die, you will go to heaven, which is reserved for martyrs. Either way, you will emerge victorious. Your job is to fight the war and do not attach yourself to anything else. So, after explaining all these things, you know, Arjun, you know, accepts the arguments of Krishna, and the war starts. The war has started. This war has started. Then what happened? In this war, Arjun's son Abhimanyu, dearest son of Arjun Abhimanyu, himself a great warrior, he was killed by Kauravas. They realized the fact that as long as Abhimanyu is alive, they would not be able to get victory in the war. All those Kauravas, they had come together, and he was backstabbed. Abhimanyu, he was killed. Arjun was fighting war at some other place, and then he came to know about the death of his son Abhimanyu, and he immediately reaches the place. Looking at the dead body of his son, Arjun could not stop his tears. He started crying very loudly. People around him simply did not know how to console him. Then they immediately ran to Lord Krishna. Please come and console Arjun because he is uncontrollable. Lord Krishna comes to the place, site. Looking at Arjun, Krishna also starts crying. Looking at Arjun, he also starts crying. Then people around him were surprised. They said that we can understand Arjun crying because he is a human being. It becomes difficult for him to overcome all these emotions and sentiments. It becomes difficult for him to overcome these attachments. But you are God. You are God. That is what they would say. You are God. You are above all these emotions, sentiments, and attachments. Why are you crying? And this is when Krishna comes out with a very, very most relevant reply. He says that I am not crying because Abhimanyu died. Because I know birth and death, they are a part and parcel of life. We cannot avoid them. I am crying, he says, because I took so much of pain to explain detachment and the essence of Hindu philosophy to Arjun. I had explained to him in a very detailed and most easiest and simplest manners. In spite of the fact that he understood each and every sentence that I had spoken, he could not put them into practice. The moment he saw the dead body of his son, Arjun could not control his emotions. Then Krishna says, if this is the plight of Arjun, what about others, the future generations? I am crying for future generations. Future generations would never be able to come out of this vicious cycle of emotions, attachments, frustrations, and pains. I am crying for future generations. That is what he says. And that is where, we can also put an end to the discussion of Hindu philosophy. At the end of the day, this philosophy is difficult to understand difficult to empathize, and most importantly, impossible to put into practice. You can read about this philosophy as much as you want. You can try to understand this according to your own ability, but putting them into practice is almost impossible. Is it possible for us? That is what the Hindu philosophy says. Is it possible for us to is it possible for us to stand in front of the dead body of our loved ones, near and dear ones? Is it possible for us to stand in front of the dead body of loved ones, near and dear ones, and say that I am happy that they died? And that is what the essence of Hindu philosophy. That is what Lord Krishna says in Hindu philosophy. He says that knowledgeable people, self actualized souls, will never cry over the death of their near and dear ones. On the other hand, they feel happy. Why? Their soul is liberated from their body, and their soul gets an opportunity to integrate itself with the divine soul. It can get salvation, moksha. If you are getting moksha and salvation, liberation, you should feel happy, not feel bad about it. And this kind of knowledge, this kind of detachment, how many of us can have? And that is the reason why it is almost impossible to put this philosophy into practice. And that is also the reason why we suffer every day on a day-to-day basis, because we attach ourselves to so many things in and around us. We get habituated to so many things. Every day you are having some kind of food. One day you don't get the same kind of food. You get angry. You get frustrated. You are preparing for UPSC. You get into some service, not IAS. You get frustrated. You become jealous. Right? You get into IAS. Again, you want something more because greed. The more your needs are satisfied, the more greedy you become. When you get into IAS, you become highly egoistic. You can see that all those young people who get into IAS, they become highly egoistic. That is how we define an IAS officer. We define an IAS officer. How do we define an IAS officer? An IAS officer is a young person who gets into services at the age of 24 and who stops learning after that. Because he becomes so egoistic, right? He becomes so egoistic that he stops learning also. Yes, in a Shubham, the difference here is that he is not crying for himself, he is crying for humanity. He is not crying for himself, he is crying for humanity. Because it becomes difficult for him to visualize the problems and the pains of future generations if they do not understand the essence of his words. And he also knew that they cannot understand also. That is where he was feeling so bad. Please remember, that is what we discussed in our previous classes. The other person's emotions are your emotions. Empathy. If the other person is happy, you are happy. If the other person is hungry, you are feeling the hunger. If the other person is crying, you are also feeling the same amount of emotion. And you try to remove that in a unhappiness or misery. That is what we say Advaith. You become one single soul. Right? So this is what the entire essence of Hindu philosophy. Now, we have 10 more minutes left. You can ask me the questions. You can ask me all your questions. Right? All your questions you can ask me now. What are the questions that we have? I said, what are the practical implications of this philosophy? If you realize the oneness of the soul, you will have empathy. You will have only universal love. You will not have any of the 6 vices that we talk about. You perform your task without any desire. Nishkam karma. Then ultimately you will become God. As we have mentioned the other day, God means unconditional, universal, selfless, love and sacrifice. When you help others, you are not expecting anything in return from them. You don't even expect a thank you also from others. Because by helping others, you are only helping yourself. By removing the pain of others, you are only removing your own pain. By providing food to others, you are satisfying your own hunger. And if others become successful, you treat it as your own success. You don't feel jealous. Right? Then you automatically become God. That is what we say the essence of Hindu philosophy, Advaith. Right? So this is what we say ultimately. Now you can ask questions. Yes, as I said, Shubham here, Krishna was not crying for himself. He is crying for others. What will happen to them? You don't have any emotions of yourself. Other people emotions will be your emotions. He was feeling bad for others, the future generations. He said that Arjun, being very close to me, who has been my compatriot all through my life, he could not understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita. What about others? What about future generations who only read Bhagavad Gita, who don't have the luxury of you know getting the essence of Bhagavad Gita from me directly? What happens to those people? Will I ever be able to remove the pain of this humanity? That is what Krishna was feeling bad. He was feeling bad for the society. He was feeling bad for the world. He was feeling bad for the future generations. He knew that in the future generations, they will always be caught up in this vicious cycle of desire. They would never be come out of it, and they can never become self-actualized. And he wanted every person to become self-actualized. That is the reason why he has provided the path in the form of Bhagavad Gita. Right? That is what it says. So, you can ask your doubts. Is it possible to put into practice? Definitely it is possible. Nothing is impossible, provided you have the necessary will. Can we? Yes. In this materialistic world, definitely it is very, very difficult. In this materialistic world, you know, it is difficult, but it is not impossible. What are the practical implications of this philosophy? Very simple. What are the practical implications of Advaith philosophy? Simple. You are able to see God in every person who is there in front of you. And what is our emotion towards God? Respect, love, worship and service. And you will be able to serve other person, show utmost respect towards other person. You worship other person, you love other person. Once you realize that there is a God inside the soul of the other person, you will become selfless, universal, unconditional love. You will become God. That is the practical implications of this philosophy. You will have only positive emotions, constructive feelings towards other people. You would like to serve other people because that is what Hindu philosophy says. Serving human beings, serving mankind is like serving God. Manava Seve, Madhav Seva. Serving human beings is akin to serving God. That is what. Once you realize the Advaith philosophy, you will be able to see God. Exactly. What we are saying, Shubham, here is that the only feelings that we should have is love, compassion, selflessness, unconditional, universal, selfless love. That is the only feeling that we should have, and nothing else. That is what we say Advaith, right? That is when you become a self-actualized soul. And this is where we started also, wherein we spoke about what is God. This is where we started. We said that means God means universal, unconditional, selfless love and sacrifice. When you're able to realize this Advait in reality, that is what you would become. And that is why reason why a Jesus Christ had become a God. That is why a king Ram had become God. That is the reason why Shiva had become God. That is the reason why Gautam Buddha had become God. Right? That is what we say. That is the reason why a Guru Nanak could become, a noble soul. This is what we say. Maybe after 200 years, 300 years, Mahatma Gandhi also will be worshipped as God. Right? After 200-300 years. That is what we say. And that is what Lord Krishna also says. The easiest way to attain salvation is through this karma yoga. Perform your action without expecting anything in return. Perform your action without expecting anything in return. If the other person is hungry, give him food. If he has problem with his health, give him medicines. And while doing so, do not expect anything in return. Because this is what you would have done unto yourself also. If you are hungry or if you are having any problem with your health. And that is what you have to do. Nishkam Karma. Chandresh, Mahatma Gandhi also strongly believed in this Advait philosophy. As I said, in the modern times, it was Aurobindo, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Swami Vivekanand, and Mahatma Gandhi, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, who strongly propagated this Advait philosophy. Right? Yes, Shubham, this is universal, irrespective of the religions. What we have spoken about is universal. We are not attaching religion to this here. It has nothing to do with religion. It is philosophy, right? And why this has become very popular? Because it is completely rational. It is scientific. It is rational and it is scientific. That is the reason why it had become popular. This Advait philosophy, right? Yes, that is what Chandresh has said. You can achieve, you can realize God by gaining the knowledge of God. What is God? As we have discussed in our previous class, God is infinite. There are no boundaries. But by gaining the knowledge, you will see that God in his true form. You realize that there is no place on this earth where God is not there. And you realize how God has been able to achieve this kind of power by gaining the knowledge. And you will become God in the process. And you will become God in the process. Maybe, I can talk about this Jnana Yoga in some other class. How this can be done. It is also very simple, very easy. In some other class, I will talk about it. Right? So this is what about this philosophy. Tomorrow, we will come to materialistic aspects of life. From philosophy, we will move on to materialistic aspects of life. Tomorrow, in a yes, not collecting information, by understanding God. By understanding God, you will become God. So tomorrow what I will be doing is, for those who will be writing the prelims this year, I will be giving them some kind of a roadmap for tomorrow. What they should be doing till the 5th of June for prelims this year. It will be at the same time 11:30. Those who are preparing for prelims, tomorrow I will be giving them the roadmap. What they should read now, from now till you know till they get into service, till they take the examination. That is what we say. I think we have reached the end of our class. We can meet tomorrow.